is good, YouTube? Quinn Wade Basketball Analysis coming to you with a quick video. I wanted to let you guys know I got some new merchandise available, not just t-shirt anymore. I got different type of t-shirt, different type of shirts and logos that you can purchase on my spread shirt, and also hoodies now. We have expanded and added more to the channel and more merchandise for the brand. Thanks for supporting. It will be in the description and the links will be in the comment section below. Thanks for helping me and supporting the movement. Quinn Wade Basketball Analysis. I'm going to. What is good, YouTube? Quinn Wade Basketball Analysis coming to y'all with a quick video. We're going to talk about Tobias Harris, and his fit so far with the Philadelphia 76ers. This team has really took a lot of heat so far this season, and it hasn't really went down. This is a team that a lot of people felt could be the #1 seed in the Eastern Conference. A lot of people felt that this team at worst should be the second team in the Eastern Conference. Only the Bucks should be higher. I was a person that came into this season saying, Philly, I like them. I think they can finish #2 in the East. Matter of fact, I predicted that they will. Now the season isn't over, so they still have a chance to do that. But I did have the Bucks as the better team in the regular season, and that has held true as they have been significantly better than everybody so far this season in the Eastern Conference. But when you look at this roster, we felt like this team was going to be a defensive lockdown team. You have one of the best, if not the best, inside the interior defender outside of Anthony Davis and Joel Embiid. And Joel Embiid has still been a great defender. He still has been the anchor. He still has been good on the defensive end. So it's not like he didn't live up to the hype. Is he Defensive Player of the Year? No. But I didn't really see him winning that award anyway. But he could be one of those anchors that can switch and guard, and he can stop Giannis when it matters most, and that's in the playoffs. But you look at Al Horford. That's the guy that locked up Giannis a lot. That's the guy that really locked up Embiid a lot in the playoffs, and he's on this roster. Then you look at Ben Simmons. This is a guy that everybody knows as a first-name defender. When you think about Ben Simmons, you do think about great defense. And every time I hear somebody bring up Ben Simmons, they always praising him on his defense. Same thing with Josh Richardson. The weak link in their defense was mainly Tobias Harris. A lot of people felt like Tobias Harris was their worst defender, but he's a passable, solid defender. He's not great. He's not one of the best, but he's not terrible defensively either at this point of his career and in his current role. And even if you have one bad defender, even if it's on the perimeter, that usually don't means you're going to be a bad defensive team if majority of your team is locked in defensively altogether. So one bad defender is not going to destroy the whole team defense, especially when you got great individual defenders, great help and rotation defenders, and outside of Tobias Harris, they have great perimeter defenders in Ben Simmons and Josh Richardson. And like I said, they do have Al Horford and they do have Joel Embiid in the middle and the inside. So that shouldn't be a huge problem. But when you look at Tobias Harris, and this is unfortunate, but he knew this comes with the game. And when you're getting a 5-year, $180 million deal, you're held to a different standard. People look at you different. You can make a case that Tobias Harris was an all-star on that Clippers team. And the reason why I say that is because he was putting up great numbers, and the Clippers was in the playoffs when the all-star voting was there. He did miss out, and they did ended up trading him to Philly. Philly really felt like he can be a great fit. Philly really thought that he can be the missing piece after they made the Jimmy Butler trade to help them get to a title. And it didn't happen, as we all know, but he was still an important part of this team because they made it a priority to get him this contract. Did they have to pay him the max? No. Is he a $180 million player? I'd probably say no, but I did think Tobias Harris could be better. I did think he has improved every single season these last 4 years, and he has. And I actually think, just like I said about his defense, Tobias Harris hasn't been terrible. He's giving you basically 20.6 rebounds and 3 assists. And that's what you want out of one of your best players, especially because this isn't, and this is what people don't realize, this isn't Tobias Harris' team. This is Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons' team. And a lot of people say it's a Joel Embiid team. A lot of people say Ben Simmons is their best player. But at the end of the day, Tobias Harris, we knew that he wasn't going to be their best player. They paid him like that because it's hard to find wings that can do what Tobias Harris does, and that's operate a little bit in the pick and roll, knock down threes, knock down pull-ups over smaller defender, post up smaller defenders, and make the right pass and be a solid rebounder. And that's what they overpaid for Tobias Harris. Like I always tell people, you shouldn't be mad at Tobias Harris for getting 180 million. If they're going to offer you 180 million and give you 5 years, I can't be mad at Tobias Harris for accepting that offer because that's what Elton Brand felt like he was worth. That's what the Sixers felt like he was worth, and that's how much they was willing to pay him. And if you're willing to do that, I'd be crazy if I'm Tobias Harris to say, okay, I'm not going to take that. I want to be in Philly, plus they paying me a max contract. Why wouldn't I want to be getting paid that type of money? So look at it from Tobias Harris' perspective. They putting that type of money on the table. Not too many people going to turn that down, especially if that's a team they want to play for. But when you look at the rest of the numbers, 48% from the field, 33% from three, 80% from the free throw line, 19.4 points a game. That's about what he put up last year for the Philadelphia 76ers. So they knew exactly what he was. They knew exactly what his fit and how they was going to utilize him last year and coming into this season. So I'm not trying to give him, you know, pass him on, but we knew a lot of this stuff already. So let's not act like we didn't know Tobias Harris wasn't a superstar. He was the best player, arguably, on that Clippers team, and he wasn't even an all-star, like I said. So that just lets you know, can Tobias Harris lead you to a championship? No. But like I said, then again, this is Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid team. If I had to pick the all-stars off this team, most people would say Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. They don't bring up Tobias Harris. But Tobias Harris has been solid. He has really played well for this team. His three-point shot has been the most disappointing thing. But when you look at Tobias Harris' career, he never was a consistent three-point shooter for an entire season for majority of his career. He had some years when he was great at three, but it also depended on who was on the roster and what his role was. This team needs him to be a volume scorer. They need him to be able to get the mismatches and the advantages and just be a quality player. They don't need Tobias Harris to come in here and be a superstar. That's Joel Embiid's job. This is his team. He's the one that's dominant. He's the one that's unguardable. Some people say Joel Embiid can be the best player on the court. Some people say Joel Embiid is the best center in the NBA, which is arguable right now. And if that's the case, this is not Tobias Harris' fault. But I will defend him and say he has done everything that they have asked him to do. They chose to pay him the 180. They chose to give him 5 years. And this is the team that you have. Now, the problem with this team is it doesn't look like it's good enough right now because they have consistency problems. They have the health problems. Tobias Harris knew that coming into the season that in Joel Embiid, he's not going to play all 82 games. We know he's going to have sit-outs. We know that. And he has done that every single year of his career. We knew that Ben Simmons wasn't going to score. He didn't do it in high school. He really didn't do it at all in college. And he didn't do it since the NBA. I think his career high is not even 20 points a game. Ben Simmons never been a 20-point per game scorer in his entire NBA career. We knew that. So a lot of these things we already knew what was going to happen. We already knew what it was. And people are just in shock because Philly hasn't been that dominant team that a lot of us thought they would be. But it all boils down to the same problems that they have already had. And the problems that we knew coming into the season that we thought they'd get over, it was more or less wishful thinking. We thought it would be over. We thought it would, they improve. We thought they'd take that next jump. And they didn't. And they do have great defenders even off the bench. They do have a decent bench. It just Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid as a duo just ain't as dominant as we thought. Somebody has to take the blame. Somebody has to take the fall. And I'm saying, I don't know if it's Tobias Harris. He has gave you exactly what he should. You chose to pay him 180. And now you're in a situation where you're going to have to offload some of these players if you want to make changes to the roster. But what I will say is they should stick with this team and see what they can do in the playoffs at the end of the day, because we see time and time again they give but the Bucks problems. But the thing about it is, can Philly get to the NBA Eastern Conference Finals? Without playing the Bucks, because they're not a top 3 seed right now. And even if they do get to the Bucks in the second round, can they beat Giannis and the Bucks 4 games? And if they do meet them in the Eastern Conference Finals, are they going to have enough left in the tank to beat the Bucks, to guard the Bucks, to defend the Bucks for 7 to 6 games? And not only that, will Embiid be dominant? He hasn't never been dominant in the playoffs since he's been in the playoffs. And if that's going to be your best player and he can't show up in the big games, then you're at a disadvantage. Who is going to be the player that steps up and make a difference on this Philly team in the playoffs so they can beat the number 1 seed Milwaukee Bucks? Because that's what it's all about. If you want to win that title and you want to get out of the East, you're going to have to beat the Bucks eventually. And they have the personnel, they have the coaching, they have enough to get over that hump. The problem is, are they really locked in to the point where they're focused on one goal, and that's getting to the finals and winning the title? I don't see the urgency and the fight and the hunger in Philly like I thought they would have after crying after after Kawhi Leonard hit the shot. They seemed disappointed. They seemed like they failed. They seemed like they let each other down. And they had even publicly admitted that. But I do not see that so far this season. I don't see the hunger. I don't see the fight. I don't see the urgency. I don't see them having a chip on their shoulder and really showing that nobody can beat them. They're the best team. And once they made this team, it seemed like they had the right pieces. They had the right fit when it comes to defense. They had the right style when it comes to slowing down the game and making it ugly and beating teams up. But that hasn't been the case. They have been a team that's hot and cold, dominant and not dominant. And it all starts with their best players. And they have come and gone throughout the season too, like they did the last 3 to 4 years. So a lot of this stuff, we overrated. A lot of this stuff flew over our heads. And a lot of this stuff is our own fault for, giving the Philadelphia 76ers too much credit or not enough credit or overrating them. And they have not lived up to the hype the last 3 postseasons, which is unfortunate, but is reality. And we just have to wake up from it. This is what Philly is. This is who they are. And they have shown that season after season, and we have been giving them too much credit. We have given them too much praise early on, and they always come back to let us down. But what I will say is this team is built for the playoffs. This team has a style of play that could possibly get them far. Now it's just about them staying healthy. Now it's just about them having that work ethic that pushed them to the top, having that chemistry that makes them tough to defend and also tough to score on. And if they can do that against the weaker teams and the middle teams in the East, I don't see why they still can't get to the Eastern Conference Finals. But can they lock in offensively and defensively to dethrone the Bucks? Kawhi Leonard, he's no longer in the East. This is Giannis' time. And we should be saying it about Joel Embiid. This is his time, because we thought after crying this would be. And that's definitely not the case. Joel Embiid has been one of the more disappointing players. Like I said, people have been complaining about the Sixers all season. People have been disappointed in the Sixers all season. And honestly, it don't look like it has really changed them. They still, after Charles Barkley called them out, Joel Embiid had a monster game, and he dominated on Christmas, and they fell right back into the inconsistency. They're not locked in. They're not focused. They're not determined to really be champions, and they don't have the mentality. They don't have it in their stomach, the fire in their belly, and they just can't get it out. And it do make you wonder, should they keep Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid together? And it's looking like if they're going to be together, they're not going to be enough to win you a title. And it's unfortunate because they're so young and they have so much upside and they do play defense. But we really have to see what they do this postseason, because if they're not going to be with, 2 All-Stars and live up to the hype in the playoffs, which they haven't done yet, eventually you have to figure out how to win a title with this team. The process is over. It's been over for years. Why haven't this team took the next jump? And that's what Elton Brand has to look at this offseason if they fail their goal of not getting to the Eastern Conference or the NBA Finals, because that's when you have this amount of talent. That's what you're judged upon. When everybody feels like you're one of the top 5 teams in the NBA, not just in conference, that's disappointment. So as Philly fans, I feel sorry for y'all because it's not y'all fault. Y'all show up to the games. Y'all are very stern. Y'all are very respectable fans, and we can't blame y'all for your team not being locked in to be a championship team. They're too young. They don't have enough care, and they don't have enough want. And it's just reality for this team, and we just need to accept that. But let me know what you guys think. Is Philly too disappointing? Is Philly never going to live up to the hype with Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid? Or is it time after this season to really look at this duo and say, this is not enough? We have to find somebody else. Jimmy Butler couldn't save him. The Tobias and Boban trade couldn't save him. And this year they made another reconstruction of the roster, and they have been disappointed again. So eventually we got to wake up, and that's what I'm doing. Now it's time for them to wake up and either make that change, get that urgency, or they're going to be another disappointing season for the Sixers and their fans. And that's reality. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below about the Philadelphia 76ers and Tobias Harris.